This video is about the past, present, and dubious future of vegan activism. It's also about the legacy of one YouTuber and vegan activist known as Brianna Jackfruitson. She later went on to referring to herself just as Brianna Jackson. I am going to read out the very few emails I had back and forth with her over the years. So the title of this video is not clickbait, but I'm also going to address some issues that came up in the comment section in response to my first video that was basically making the announcement, something she had announced, but I managed to keep quiet, that she is in fact no longer vegan. She's now evidently eating meat, eggs, and dairy. So here's someone whose life was really touched by Brianna's career here on YouTube. Broccoli writes in and says, "What a shame. When I went vegan at age 14, Brianna was one of the first social media influencers that really put veganism in my mind. Being British, not much older than myself, and also having come out of an eating disorder at a young age. She struck me as a bit out of my level in terms of confidence and such, yet I still believed that her motivations were as genuine as mine, despite our similar pasts, and one day I hoped my life could be as comfortable as hers seemed." So I just mentioned something that's not touched on here at all. She just describes her as being very confident and very appealing in some vague sense. Something that's not mentioned here is the body. I put up a screenshot in my last video that some of you were surprised to see of how she presented herself as a public figure within veganism. She's obviously a very short, very slight person, but she obviously exercised very rigorously and had a very tightly maintained diet. And, you know, probably she could have gotten work as some kind of model, maybe modeling, you know, athletic shoes or something. I know she's not as tall as most models, for example, but still probably she'd gone to a talent agency during that time of her life. She probably could have gotten modeling work. And there's no doubt that her influence on people like this at age 14 was in significant part due to her appearance and her fitness. Even so, I quickly grew bored of her vapid, monotonous fruit meals. See, I pause on the word vapid. I wish it were pronounced vapid, but it's not. The word is vapid, not vapid. I wish it were vapid. I wish it were the other way around, but whatever. I quickly grew bored of her vapid, monotonous fruit meals as I grew into veganism. Never mind the fact that her channel stagnated. For lack of a better term, it breaks my heart to see how Brianna has become. To think I ever wanted to meet her at a meetup. I'm not surprised. She used to do a lot of that. She used to do a lot of meeting fans in parks and at public vegan events. She always struck me as a bit overconfident, and judging by her Instagram posts, she now seems just recklessly cocky, and it's become clear to me that there was nothing genuine about her. Ugh. So at this point, I'm going to pop in a brief video clip showing you the type of slacktivism or activism that Brianna was known for. And of course, it's especially ironic because in this clip, she's criticizing someone for being ex-vegan, and now she is an ex-vegan herself.
I used to use the whole argument of, oh, circle of life, oh, well, we're not lions. Oh, just because a lion has to eat doesn't mean we have to eat it.
According to our basic physiology, you know, Nick was talking earlier about biology and about how we are clearly omnivores, but honestly, just looking at a simple diagram and, you know, comparing ourselves again to carnivores and omnivores and seeing that they have giant claws to be able to rip apart an animal and sharp fangs to be able to dig into their flesh and just eat their bloody meat, you know, organs spilling everywhere and blood running all down their face. It's very, very obvious that if we were out in the wild and we saw a deer, we would not be able to hunt down a deer like a lion could. You know, it's just like, people like to say that we have sharp teeth. Like, honestly, you feel like that could dig into a deer and I could eat it alive, and moreover that I would actually enjoy eating that raw flesh, again, blood spilling all down my face, without cooking it, without adding any seasonings or spices to it. Like, Nick and everyone else, please honestly ask yourself, would you actually enjoy that?
We don't have 4-chambered stomachs to digest plant matter like cows do, or horses.
Well, we are humans, we are not cows and we are not horses, and you know, it's just very obvious that we are not designed to eat meat just by comparing our digestive tract to that of an omnivore or a carnivore, right?
It doesn't matter how many calories of sardines I eat, If there's no vitamin C in sardines, I'm not getting it.
He feels like he might be deficient in something, and he feels like he may be lacking in certain nutrients. But as far as I'm aware, he hasn't been specific about the certain nutrients that he feels like he's lacking in. Does that mean that because I'm vegan, you know, I'm lacking vitamin D and therefore the vegan diet is unhealthy? No, it's because, you know, humans are not designed to live in cold climates. You know, we're meant to have sunlight all year round, but because the way that society is shaped right now and the fact that I was born in England and I don't really want to move away, that means that I don't get sunlight all year round, and it's in my best interest to take a supplement. And again, that does not mean that I am unhealthy or that the vegan diet is not the correct diet for humans just because I'm lacking in vitamin D.
So this is the other issue a lot of people wanted to dispute with me. Derek Walter writes in, how can she feel better when she's so much fatter now? And we get a somewhat abstract and philosophical response from this commenter, whose name I will not attempt to pronounce. Okay, I was probably getting overly invested when, at first, I had only been trying to point out that, for all we know, her body mass index is not over 25, let alone 30. I also guess if you put yourself out there on the internet the way Brianna does, you should be prepared for some people being dicks, being mean, and triggering you, whether you struggle with an eating disorder or not. Thanks for your openness, though. Have a nice day or a nice evening, assuming you live in America. And this guy writes back and says, hey, I appreciate that you're trying to turn this into something more profound, but I was just being a jerk. I was just being a dick. Now, look, guys, I do not think that putting in the hours to optimize your physical appearance is the best use of your time as a human being on planet Earth. This person, I don't even know who this is. This is a vegan who posted progress pictures on Instagram, and I saw it because another Instagram account linked to it or featured it. The difference between these two bodies, the before and after picture, how many hundreds of hours of hard work can be justified by this difference in your appearance, or this difference in your level of health, or this difference in your level of strength. Here's a well-known vegan diet and exercise guru, Stephanie, Naturally Stephanie, and this is her before and after. Now, in her case, to estimate how many hundreds of hours, how many thousands of hours she's put in at the gym between this before picture and this after picture, it's unbelievable. Now, in either case, if you think about that time and what you could have done with it, Stephanie here could have learned Latin. She could have learned Greek. She could have learned Russian. She probably could have learned Chinese in the amount of time and effort she put into developing her body. Now, we all have to ask this about ourselves. Is it worth it? Is it worth the sacrifice? Is it worth the loss of time and talent to develop your body, especially when you're looking at these kinds of contrasts? So I was by no means suggesting that, you know, like Brianna, when you look at her before and after pictures, that she's beholden to try to maintain this appearance forever at any cost. You know, people, even if it wasn't that she went from vegan to ex-vegan, if she just went from being a vegan who was training a lot at the gym to being a vegan who was studying chemistry in university and needed to spend all her time really studying chemistry and couldn't exercise that much and couldn't diet that strictly. So I'm really not some kind of advocate that everyone should try to maintain a fitness model's appearance. And in my own life, you know, fair is fair. This is a picture of me being out of shape. By my standards in this picture, I'm out of shape. But the difference in appearance between me being out of shape and me being in shape, this image is obviously meant as a joke. This is me joking around. But when this picture was taken, I was doing 200 push-ups a day every day. I was going to the gym twice a day. I was working very hard for the very slight difference in appearance that you see between these two photos. And for me, from my perspective, I'm not doing it for the appearance. I'm motivated by other things, by other considerations. But again, look at these other young women. How much time and how much effort can possibly be justified this? Hey, I'm open to the possibility. Obviously, Brianna is not beholden to maintaining that level of fitness. We all have other priorities, and most of us really have better things to worry about, better things to do at the time. So that's cool. The problem is, in this case, what I'm drawing attention to, what the reason for my putting those photos in the video is to draw attention to the contrast between the claim she's making about feeling better, about her quitting veganism being somehow related to her health. It's like, well, you may say you feel better, but looking at it objectively from the outside, it really does not look like you're healthier now than you were when you were a vegan fitness model. So this is an interesting little example, my dialogue with Brianna. This is way back in the year 2015, and you can tell from the way this started that she and I were already speaking. So we had talked to each other in a vegan YouTubers forum, and I don't remember the conversation. Probably both of us were giving compliments to a third person. There was probably somebody with a video that we both said was a good video we were both chatting about. It was a Facebook group for vegan YouTube content creators. And back in those days, people were more collaborative, more encouraging to one another. So she and I started talking there. And then I sent her a direct message saying, hey, I just made a video about veganism myself for the first 7 million years. That's a very memorable, very strange video for me. I had no idea how to do lighting properly. So the lighting and image quality is absolutely awful. But hey, I was just struggling to get YouTube to work. And she replies, really interesting video, exclamation point. I totally relate to that frustration sometimes, but I've learned I can only do what I feel is right and will help benefit the movement. I do think vegan communities exist, though. There are lots of meetups and groups of friends and families who come together and try to spread the message of veganism. So this is, again, worth hearing, worth remembering. At one time, she was someone who was really sincerely concerned about the future of the vegan movement. As I said in my first video, she really was a significant person, both in digital slacktivism and in real world activism. That's how I remember her, and that memory is preserved here in this little dialogue we had. So then, whatever, a year or more goes by, and I wrote to her again saying, hi Brianna, I just reread this message because I was searching my message history for another friend with the name Jackson. So wow, things have really changed since 2015 for both of us. Too bad we didn't meet in Chiang Mai. I think I left before you arrived. Oh, so we were both there. We were both there within the same month or something. Maybe we'll cross paths sometimes. I really do try to build bridges with all kinds of vegans whom I only have a few things in common with. And as you know, anyone who gets kicked out of the fruit festival is a friend of mine. So this is also interesting for you guys who may think I don't reach out positively to other vegans on YouTube, other vegan activists or YouTube content creators. This is an example of that. And then the last attempt I had to write to her was this one. This must be another year later, more than a year later. I wrote to her and said, these are some pictures of a simpler time in my life. Baking college. We're enrolled to learn to become vegan bakers, bread, cakes, etc. A career that only interests me because of veganism. So yes, being a baker is a career that only interests me because of vegan activism or as a form of vegan activism. And she responded to that message by blocking me on Facebook, even though it wasn't in a position in her way. It is quite possible that when that message was sent, she already knew that she was either quitting the vegan movement or that she was going to go back to eating meat. It is what it is, people. The past, present, and future of the vegan movement. Talent is scarce, and it's a goddamn shame that so much of the money, support, and interest has gone behind some of the people who had the least talent, the least potential to really positively benefit the movement, who had the least sincere interest in building up the movement over the long-term future. So we've talked about a number of prominent ex-vegans on this channel. In every case, you have to wonder, what if that support, what if that incentive, not just financial support, not just financial incentive, what if that positive attention, cooperation, collaboration from both real-world activists and digital, what if that had gone behind somebody somewhere who was sincerely thinking about the long-term future of the movement, who was really trying to do something positive for the animals, for the environment, for human ethics, for human health, for all the rest of it. A lot of people have been betting on the wrong horse again and again and again. And in the year 2019, I feel like most of us have gotten tired of running around the same old track. Guys, I hope someone in this audience can reach out to me and give me some hope, some optimism for the future of the vegan movement, because I'm running on empty. Right now, from my little apartment in Taiwan, I have none at all. Nobody has done anything or said anything to me to offer me any optimism about the future of this movement. I wish I could quit. I wish I could, but I can't. So I won't.